This podcast is brought to you on Roku and Fire TV by Pod Nation Podcast TV. Find us on X, Facebook, Instagram, or wherever podcasts are broadcast. Download our app and never miss a show with video on demand, as well as exclusive content found only on Pod Nation TV. Live from Fort Wayne, Indiana, surprise, it's the Monster Island Film Vault bonus episode 19, Santa Jaws featuring Bex and Encyclo. Hello, Kaiju Lovers, and Merry Christmas. So yes, here I am. I'm doing this out of kayfabe, out of character, OOC, whichever term you prefer. So you're getting real Nathan Marchand here, not MIFV Nate. And I mean, honestly, this bonus episode was originally intended to basically end season 4, but then due to all of the delays and everything with production, it's not going to be the final episode of the season. But this also has a really hard deadline because I wanted to get a Christmas special out to you guys. And the problem was there aren't really any good examples of Christmas kaiju movies. Not really. But I found one that, if you squint really hard enough with your definition of kaiju, it would qualify. And I'm bringing on a pair of really fun people to talk about this. One that you've heard many times before, and then one you haven't, although we've talked about him a lot. Namely, I have the co-hosts, one of several, I guess, but, you know, like the founding co-hosts, I guess, of the Redeemed Otaku podcast, Bex, and her husband, Encyclo.
Well, hello.
Yo.
Oh, listen
ho, ho, to you.
Yeah, ho, 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 you son of a fish.
Right.
We're going to have to talk about that because there are things in this movie that are just a little confusing.
I don't find it confusing
I
at all.
found nothing wrong with this movie.
But Bex, it's been a while.
Nothing fishy at all.
Nothing fishy at all.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. We're gonna start calling you Mike, okay? Yeah.
As in mute it.
No, but that's a good one right there. I'm gonna wear those buttons out today.
Oh yeah.
But it's been a while, Bex. I know I have you slated to come on for a regular episode during the season, but like I said, you know, the best laid plans just didn't pan out. And you know,
I tell you what,
yeah. And now here you are for a Christmas episode. We're not doing Jurassic Park or anything involving kids or girls anymore. You know, or specifically magical girls.
I mean, it has kids, and it has
teenagers,
something that teenagers, and it has something that one could argue has kind of prehistoric type attributes. So you know. Kind of fits in there.
The shark
it in there.
Right. I mean, they find fossil teeth in the, you know, Triassic and Jurassic layers, so why not?
Wow.
Why not?
That is on, I think, the very, very, very edge of the Venn diagram right there. I'm just, you're stretching.
And there is a magical pen, which Sailor Moon uses a magical transformation pen.
Wait, she had a pen? I've seen all 200 episodes. When did she have a pen?
The first season, she had a pen.
That was a pen?
That was a pen. Yes.
Wow.
She didn't use it for writing. It was
the pen is mightier than the sword.
That's funny given some of the plans I have for season 5. That's all I'm saying for now, because I don't want to give no spoilers. Any spoilers. I might tell you off the air, but but no spoilers on the air. But yes. So we're talking about a funny little movie that I know you can at least watch it on Amazon Prime. I don't remember where. You know what? I'm going to check just to see where else.
It was initially released on Sci-Fi.
It was a sci-fi movie. We're talking
a sci-fi Sharknado movie.
It was released back during the height of the sharksploitation craze, brought on by Sharknado in 2013. Yep. Thank you, Asylum. I have another Asylum movie coming up in season 5. That was a Patreon request, but the guy who requested it actually worked on the movie. So
interesting.
This is going to be interesting. Yeah, he said it was, and he works in the industry, and he says it was both the best and worst experience of his life.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You can watch the Santa Jaws on Prime, Plex, and Tubi. Of course, it's on Tubi.
That's right.
Of course, it's on Tubi.
Well,
everything is on Tubi.
It with limited commercial interruption.
Well, by that it was one. Whereas on Tubi, it's going to happen every 10 minutes.
There's worse films I've seen with worse commercial interruptions. So,
But yes, this whole thing got put together because about 2 years ago, I think it's about 2. You were trying to figure it out beforehand, but I think it was about 2 years ago, Bex. I heard I think it was before you relaunched Redeemed Otaku.
Okay.
And I believe you were on, I want to say One Cross Radio with Chris Cook.
Okay.
And you mentioned this movie, or one of you mentioned this movie, and talked about how delightfully stupid it was.
Yes.
And so I'm like, well, I guess I should have them on to talk about this because, like I said, there aren't really any Christmas kaiju movies. I can point to a few episodes of TV with kaiju that are technically Christmas related, but like Ultraman, Super Sentai, things like that. But there's not really a Christmas kaiju movie. I mean, you have to really start stretching the definition of kaiju, like the Bumble from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or something.
Well, when I mentioned it,
I was just thinking that would be a stretch.
Yeah.
When I mentioned it, which you're probably remembering it correctly, I don't remember at all, but I was fresh from watching it, and Encyclo has a natural talent for finding campy movies that is just hilariously bad. So he was the one who found it on Amazon Prime. We watched it and just died, just loved it to death. So when you asked us to come on the show and review it, we were like, yes.
Yeah, because I will say this. This is my argument. If your definition of kaiju requires the creature to be abnormally large, especially big enough to like knock over buildings or scale buildings, or because I still consider like original King Kong to be a quote unquote kaiju. That's probably like the minimal size that I would probably go with. And he's only like 25 feet tall, at his biggest. So Santa Jaws doesn't really, but if your definition of kaiju is what the name literally means in Japanese, which is strange beast, oh yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing is weird. And it makes sense. Like it makes sense within the logic of the movie, but we'll get into that. So, like I said, I'm like, I just needed an excuse to do a Christmas episode because everybody, if you're a podcaster, content creator, you got to do holiday specials. It's just how it works. You know,
right.
I've been doing Halloween specials for a couple of years now, and because you have to.
Nathan, I gotta throw this at you. The largest measured great white shark is 19.5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's putting it right in there with King Kong.
With Kong?
Yeah. But that's not necessarily abnormally large. It's just like the upper echelon there. It's like you watch like the great white in Jaws is arguably a kaiju because he's 25 feet long and weirdly aggressive.
Yes. Well, what in Santa
I think
Jaws
we could make the same argument.
No, that's what I mean. Like Santa Jaws is a kaiju.
Santa Jaws has this intelligence has this intelligence.
Yeah, because Santa Jaws, despite the name,
self-aware.
Despite the name, Santa Jaws is female. But anyway, so we've got the introductions out of the way. Let's actually get into talking about the movie itself. All right, who wants to take a crack at trying to explain what actually happens in this movie?
I mean, okay, so
I was gonna say it's gonna be Encyclo. My money was on Encyclo.
You got it. Yep.
Like any good Christmas film, you have an element of the magic, and the magic is centered around gift giving. So a gift is given. The gift is magical, not unlike in, I don't know, Gremlins. Or
there's another one I could do next year.
Yeah, you totally should do Gremlins. That would be a fun one. Yeah, so there's that gift that's given that gives mystical, magical powers. There are elements that I find of like Home Alone. It's very reminiscent of Home Alone. The parents are separated from the child, although not by countries, but there is that definite Christmassy element going on. And dare I say, It's a Wonderful Life is happening here. Very much thematically.
You're just making me think of that line from the MST3K episode for a movie called Overdrawn at the Memory Bank, where there's a point where they show a clip of, I believe it was Casablanca. It was Mike in the Bots at the time, and they said, like, don't show a good movie in your bad movie.
But would you not agree that there's that whole element of if only I was by myself, and you start having people eliminated one by one.
A little bit.
He realizes pretty quickly, I don't actually want that in my life.
Okay. First off, I should actually give concrete details here. So
please do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I wanted a story summary, but okay, Encyclo. But basically, what we're dealing with here is we have a teenage boy. It's right before Christmas. He's an artist. Him and his friend are trying to make a comic book called Santa Jaws about a super-powered supervillain shark that's Christmas themed, because of course. And, he's got a weird family. Not necessarily an awful family. They're just a weird family. He's got an uncle with an airheaded Instagram model wife, Snapstagram. That was pretty funny.
Snapstagram. That's what it was.
Snapstagram. That was pretty funny. And they're all getting together for Christmas. And apparently he, because he's a creative type, he had a penchant for making stuff up. We don't find that out, in greater detail until after everyone starts hating on him for supposedly lying about things and getting grounded for it. I'm like, calm down, people. And then, by the way, this is the second time I've seen the movie, but the last time I saw it was like a year ago. So, so anyway, but his grandfather, as you were talking about, Encyclo, gives him a gift of what turns out to be a magic pen with an inscription written in German.
Right.
That he doesn't know what it is. And then, because he used the pen, he's angry at his family for getting on his back and things like that. And then he uses the pen to work on one of the illustrations for Santa Jaws, and it magically brings Santa Jaws to life. Mm-hmm. And it starts running around doing what monster sharks do, which is
swimming around.
Swimming around. That's true.
It had no legs.
Yeah. It goes swimming around eating people because its stomach is a black hole.
It did at some point eat some legs.
It did. It did. She did. Because apparently Santa Jaws is female. Again, monster sharks are bottomless pits. Either their stomachs are black holes or they swallowed a bag of holding.
That's where I was going to go with it.
It's a belly of holding.
Maybe a Santa's sack of holding.
Oh, there you go. It's one of the superpowers. It's one of its superpowers. So it's going around taking people out, and
he systematically takes out each one of his family members.
And the girl he likes.
His wish. Essentially, I wish I was, all by myself, or I don't.
Except for the girl.
Word, but, yeah.
Except for the girl. He's like, I want the girl around, but
yeah, well, that's where the wish, backfires. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the Faustian part of the deal comes in.
Yeah.
There is a cost.
There is a cost. It's a monkey's paw. Which
Faustian
we'll have to
bargain.
talk about. As I will say, I got it there. And I remember when I was watching it again this time around, I was like, oh, there's some. It's the sort of thing that happens whenever you introduce a monkey's paw story. Unless you really figure out the rules for it, it starts falling apart very quickly, and this one kind of does. But anyway, so it's running around taking everybody out, and then eventually our hero, just decides, you know what, I have to do something about this. I'm going to take this thing out, and and so it becomes like this kind of coming of age for our young protagonist here.
Yeah, and he learns to appreciate his family.
He learns to appreciate his family.
Along the way, when his family is in bloody shreds, that he actually liked them.
Funny how that works out. So
I didn't actually want them run through a shark blender.
Or stabbed with a candy cane, because that happened. Because that happened to one. Okay. Well, let's talk about Santa Jaws herself. This is considering that this came out. It was a sci-fi channel. You know what? I'm gonna do a little info dump here, because I did do some research on this movie to kind of put it into perspective, and then we'll start talking about things like creature design. This is a Christmas movie, and it was aired in the middle of summer.
Right. It was
August 15th.
Shark Week.
Why?
August 15th, 2018 on Sci-Fi. It's not even the proper sci-fi channel. It was the post Sci-Fi era. It's not the same anymore. And now I think
it's not.
I think Sci-Fi is about to die, to be honest. So it's at the height of the sharksploitation craze, like we were talking about. And funny enough, according to Wikipedia, quote, the film was also released in the Surfside Playhouse in Surfside, Florida on December 10th, 2021. Which is actually a question that I have. This movie was filmed in Louisiana.
Yep.
But there's only the subtlest hints that it takes place actually in Louisiana. I think the first time I watched it, I thought it was in Florida.
I thought it was actually in Pacific Northwest.
Well, the gator gives it away that it's not.
The gator
gives it away.
and there is one, I guess you would call it a local giveaway. Giveaway in the comic shop, because there's a banner in the comic shop, which is one of the things I actually like about it, because a key setting in this is a comic shop. I wonder if that comic shop is real. If it is, the name of the comic shop is also a very Louisiana sounding thing, because it was called Big Easy Comics.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Yeah, but the other one that makes it even more local is there's a banner in the comic shop that says FIFO-Con, FIFO Con. I looked it up. That takes place in Baton Rouge.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So,
one other thing, geographically speaking, that made me realize it was in the southeast, not necessarily Louisiana, but the southeast, was the moss on the trees.
True.
Yes, the Spanish moss.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Now, I do think
something you see in the southeast.
Yeah. Now, I do think they made the mistake of clearly not filming this in the right time of year, but I did look up what temperatures are like in Louisiana in December. It's reasonable, because it's it's not cold enough to snow.
No.
Let's say that.
Yeah.
No.
Now, judging by what I read, I don't think it's not warm enough to walk around in a bikini.
It is not bikini weather. We lived in Louisiana, in Southwest Louisiana, in December
during
for
winter.
multiple years, and I can tell you, it's a very wet cold. It will get down into the 30s, 40s, and 30s, and it's extremely wet, cutting to the bone. And the only thing that cures it is hot seafood gumbo.
Yeah, there you go. Which is, again, why I thought the first time I watched it, I was like, this has to be Florida, because this makes no sense. But apparently, pay enough to the context clues. It's supposed to be Louisiana, unless those were just accidents on the part of the filmmakers. I don't know, but it's implied to be Louisiana, which is why I gave our mutual friend Dallas Mora a little bit of I teased him a little bit. It's like, hey, you want to watch a Christmas monster movie that was filmed in your home state? And I sent him a link to this, and his response was, "Oh Lord." I'm just like, hey, it's like pseudo kaiju. I mean, I can only think of one other time where something kaiju related was in his home state, which was actually an animated Ultraman movie where one of the monsters shows up in Louisiana in a swamp, because of course it did.
Well,
but anyway,
maybe they'll make a Godzilla that rampages through New Orleans during Mardi Gras. There
geez, a kaiju attack at Mardi Gras would be kind of hilarious and horrifying.
And they keep throwing Godzilla beads.
They keep throwing the beads at him.
Yeah, there you
go. Godzilla's like, huh? And then if the girls are like, well, that didn't work, and then they try.
No, don't say it. Don't say
no
it.
longer a regular kaiju movie.
Yeah, well, but then Godzilla just be even more puzzled at that point. Like,
Godzilla's
if it was Kong, they're taking him out in 2 seconds after that. But
fair. Kong has a problem.
A drinking problem and
and a yes.
Yeah, he likes the ladies
from other species, which is very disturbing.
There's one movie where one movie where it was a member of his own species, and it was the weirdest movie.
It was worse. Somehow this made it worse.
And all I'll say is her name was Lady Kong. They worked a little too hard to make that because it was man in suit. This was made in the 80s. They worked a little too hard to make it accurate.
Oh no.
I'm just like, can someone please give her a bra? Please.
Oh gosh.
Please. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So, quick rundown of our cast, and I did look up actually some of these actors. There's only about 2 of them that have anything worth mentioning. Our star, I guess you could say, is Reed Miller as Cody, our teenage protagonist. Then we have Courtney Lauren Cummings as Jenna, the love interest. Carrie Lazar, what a name, as Caroline. Jim Clock, again, what a name, as Peter, so that's the dad.
Yeah.
And then Han Tran as Steve. Oh, I thought it was Mike. No, it's Steve. Steve is the best friend, who is very ADR'd at points.
Oh man.
And then
that was good.
And then Haviland Stillwell as Georgia. So that was our Instagram model.
Yeah.
Our airheaded Instagram model. Miles Doliak as Mike. Arthur Marroquin as Josh. Scott Allen Perry as Clark. And Richie Montgomery as, and this is how he is credited, at least on Wikipedia, Papa Joe.
Papa Joe.
And that's a callback to Willy Wonka, I think. I don't know. I'm gonna say it is.
Yeah. Our director is Misty Talley. It was written by Jake Kiernan. This was the only writing credit he had.
I know, I saw that. I was like, this is his passion project.
And we had a handful of producers. We had Kenneth M. Badish. That's a hilarious name for somebody who makes B movies. How was the movie that you just made? Badish.
Badish. A little badish.
Badish. Micah Haley, Marcy Holland, Daniel Lewis, and R. Brian Wright. And our composer was Andrew Morgan Smith. Now, did a little digging on some... What?
I don't even remember the music.
A lot of the background music was just kind of standard Christmas songs.
It was.
Except they tried to make it sound like scary Christmas music. And I'm like, John Carpenter, you are not. Like, sometimes it wanted to be John Carpenter, but Christmas.
Yeah, they tried to mix
John
kind of
Carpenter
the Jaws.
Sings Karen Carpenter hits.
Yeah, they tried to mix like the Jaws theme type of sound.
Yeah.
Yep. with Christmas songs.
I will give the movie credit for that. I will give the movie credit for one thing. It knows exactly what it is, and it doesn't pretend to not be anything else.
No,
I will give it credit for that. And I know that I should say that was confirmed for me because I did a little bit of digging on our director here. And I found out a few interesting things about her. I found an interview with her, actually. And so really, it's just because I need to at least pretend I did do research. I need to do some sort of research because that's what my fans have come to expect with this show. It's a researched podcast. I need to have a bibliography, okay, in the episode. But Tally graduated from the University of Louisiana. So she's a Louisiana native at Lafayette with a degree in fine arts from the Visual Arts Media program. When originally she wanted to be a video installation artist, and now she teaches editing at her alma mater. And interestingly, I'm a little surprised by this. She is the first woman to ever direct a sci-fi channel movie. It wasn't this, though.
Breaking the glass ceiling. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah. But it wasn't this. No, it was her previous movie to this. That was called, at least I think it's her previous movie. I'm pretty sure in 2015, called Zombie Shark.
Yes.
Which I think was retitled. I think it's like if you find it, you can watch it. Like it was one of the recommendations underneath this one, but it was under a different title. I think it was called Shark Island or something like that. But
I watched one around the same time of Shark Octopus.
Sharktopus.
Yes,
Sharktopus.
That was quite engaging.
I think that's an asylum movie, but I could be wrong on that.
I don't know, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. And the magazine that I found where she was interviewed is called Big Easy Magazine, and it described her style as, quote, taking the ball from the works of the asylum and adding a Southern touch, end quote.
I can see that here in this film a little bit.
I still think this is better than most, really any asylum movie, but as I've seen a handful of them, although I will admit I've seen 2 of the Sharknadoes and they are entertaining, but usually they're not. But Tally says that shark films are the perfect thing for new filmmakers to cut their teeth on. Unintentional pun, I'm guessing.
I see what they did.
I think that was unintentional because, and I quote, they combine action scenes, stunts, visual effects, mechanical effects, and shooting on the water. It's a lot of intimidating elements for our director to juggle all in one movie, but I love the challenge, end quote.
I'll give her props for that, I guess. That's an interesting take.
Yeah. I found another quotation here from her that is applicable to this movie. Quote, the audience for sharksploitation films expects campy effects and a healthy balance of a formulaic story and kills they've never seen before. At least she knows what she's making.
Yeah, she knows her audience.
Yeah.
Yep.
They are forgiving. They are forgiving films to make because of those limited expectations. There is a lot of headroom there.
I don't think those are limited expectations. I think those are very, very distinct expectations. So going into this movie, you are watching a shark movie.
I was going to say there is a grand total of one good shark movie that has ever been made.
Dun dun.
And no, I don't mean the one. I don't mean the one where the alien shark fights a giant flying turtle. Although weirdly enough, that one. Now that I think,
actually.
Although the funny thing is, now that I think about it, that one also did feature a pretty woman inexplicably walking around in a swimsuit.
I think that whole bit was actually a nod to Jaws and other shark films. It's, even though it's set in the winter, Christmas time, and definitely, like, you didn't feel like at any point in time that this was a good time to be running around in a swimsuit.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think that they did that on purpose, specifically to harken back to those other,
Yeah,
instances.
but it's just funny how there is actually a scene where she goes to see the mom and the dad, And the mom actress says, give her something to cover up with. And then she just forgets to wear it for the rest of the time. She just wears it. The most she does is she puts on the shorts that she stole from Daisy Duke.
Yeah.
Right. You know, that
she's an Instagram model, so she has to look
good. She has to maintain that. And I liked that aspect.
Yes, she stayed in character even to the point of death.
Yeah. But I will say this. I will say
a little bit of a redemption, and I liked it.
Yeah. I will say this. I think the satire was pretty thick with with everything with her, and I feel like it's even more relevant now than it was in 2018. Yes. But anyway, so
as an actress, she's actually a little bit interesting just from the stuff that Bex and I do. She is a voice actress amongst being just an actress, but she actually does some voice acting stuff. She's been a voice actress in some video games and some animated stuff, not stuff that I would watch, but like Monster High and things like that. She's been a voice actress, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, no, okay.
Okay. Let me get to the last bit of this quotation here. She goes on. The director goes on to say, "My films tend to lean in the direction of action adventure, sort of camp, and focus a lot more on the characters than a lot of other made-for-TV shark movies."
I'll give her that.
I can see that.
The characters
had some development.
Yes, they did.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
Yeah, absolutely. I will admit it does have a lot more of a focus on the characters than you would necessarily expect, which is why I say this is better than an Asylum movie.
Yeah.
She's also made some short films. In fact, according to Wikipedia, she had one that was selected by the Cannes Film Festival.
I saw that.
10 to Sing. That's what it's called. It was part of a block of films that they called a Marché du Film, which is the film market. It's about 13 minutes long. I'm actually curious to see this. It's 13 minutes long, and it's about an elderly woman who finally decides... This feels like a 2020 movie. She finally decides to leave her house and then discovers she's the last person on Earth.
Well, she definitely likes that whole science fiction bag then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's now owns her own Louisiana-based film production company called Fable House.
Good for her.
Yep. She's also directed, this is not her only shark movie. I mentioned Zombie Shark earlier. She has 2 others.
Nice.
Yeah, so when I said that this was not the immediate predecessor to Santa Jaws, there were 2 other ones, so I stand corrected because I got the timeline a little bit mixed up here. But she also directed in 2016 Ozark Sharks and Mississippi River Sharks in 2008 and 2017.
She's leaning into that Louisiana bit. I believe the Ozarks are technically in like very northern bit of Louisiana is technically in the Ozark area. So
yeah. And now out of all, there was a little bit of stuff for Mr. Reed, our Cody in this, our star. Nothing that really jumped out at me, but I will admit I looked up Mr. Doliak, Miles Doliak, who plays Mike. He's a working actor. He's been in a bunch of different things. He's been in a lot of TV, mostly. He's done some movies, but he's also a decorated academic with a PhD in ancient history. Now, his bachelor's was in I think like it was either acting or theater or something like that. But then all the degrees he got after that were history related. And he says that he tried to go to California to become an actor. It didn't work out, so he went the academic route and then got into acting again later. And he even started his own studio, his own film studio called Historia Films in July 2012. And in 2014, they made their first feature-length movie, which is called The Historian. So he's leaning into his interest in history. So there you go. And Mr. Morgan Smith, the composer, I went through his credits. He's got a bunch of stuff. Almost none of it is necessarily popular. Like the most high-profile thing he did, arguably, I guess, other than Santa Jaws, if you want to say that, was he contributed some of the music to Jeepers Creepers 3.
Okay.
But everything else that I just listed, because he had over 100 credits, is only noteworthy because it's technically attached to big name stuff, but it's all either fan made or it's like weird low budget parody, which is also probably fan made. He's done music for a pair of Star Trek fan productions, one called The Castaway, one called Star Trek Odyssey. And he also did one for some bizarre little movie called Avengers of Justice Farce Wars.
What?
Which I looked at. It looks like a bunch of drunk nerd cosplayers who love DC and Marvel decided to meld them together and change the name so that they can't be sued. And it looks like it was made on about $5, a button and some pocket lint, judging by the screenshots I saw on IMDb.
It sounds fascinating.
And he did all of Miss Tally's other shark movies.
Of course.
Of course.
I mean, I'm not terribly
There's Steven Spielberg and John Williams. You know, you got to have those.
And then there's Misty.
There's Danny Elfman and oh shoot, I can't even remember his name now.
Tim Burton.
Now that I said that, Tim Burton. Thank you. Yeah. Every director has their favorite composer.
So and then there's Misty Tally and Andrew Morgan Smith.
Yes.
That's too funny.
Now, here's the sad thing, though. If Wikipedia is up to date, this was the last movie that Miss Tally has directed. She has no other credits after this, at least on Wikipedia.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? So
everybody's got to take a little, sabbatical. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's a long sabbatical. I guess you can't come up with another good idea for a gimmicky shark movie because they've all been done.
I mean, I think I hate to say it, but I think the shark genre has jumped itself.
How about this, Miss Tally? I know you're listening to this because you probably occasionally check to see if any of your movies show up in podcasts.
Right.
So here you go. Here's my recommendation for you. Floor sharks.
Floor?
Wait,
Floor. Floor. It's a bit of a joke for the ballroom dance studio I go to. They keep having issues with the dance floor because the studio is now housed in what's also a wedding hall, so they have to share the dance floor with the wedding hall, and the floor needs a little bit of maintenance. So there will be pieces of the floor that stick up, like in the corners, especially. So the owners have been calling those floor sharks because it looks like a little fin sticking up. So there you go. Hire some ballroom dancers and have sharks that inexplicably pop up on the dance floor and eat people. There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
And then they have to dance around to avoid the sharks. That's how this works.
Wow.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's actually like a change.org petition to have a second Santa Jaws, so
what?
There's that as well.
Is there?
You can just
send me the link so I can put it in the show notes.
Yes.
I'll find it. I was looking at it earlier when I was doing a little bit of homework.
Yes.
So
Santa
you
Jaws
mentioned Jeepers Creepers 3, I believe.
Yes.
So an interesting little tie-in is the mom in this.
Mm-hmm.
Also was in Jeepers Creepers 3.
Well, there you go.
Her character was Beth Mathers.
Beth Mathers. I've never seen any of the Jeepers Creepers.
I've
movies.
never seen it, but you said it, and I'm like, wait, I thought somebody else was in it. I have to go back and look now.
well, there you go.
And for what it's worth, she was also in the Magnificent Seven remake, which was a very enjoyable movie. I liked that.
I still need the most recent one.
Yes, 2017.
Yeah, with Chris Pratt and Denzel Washington and all. Yeah, I still haven't seen that one.
It was a fun show.
Yeah.
If you like cowboy movies, it was a fun show.
Oh, I mean, I like the original, Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai. So.
I mean, if my rule of thumb is if it has Yul Brynner in it, I'm gonna like it.
Okay, there's our shark idea. Shark Samurai.
Sharks as Samurai
Misty
Shark?
Misty Tally, come on.
Okay, so I actually like Nathan's idea, but I want to spin it a little bit more. What if there was like a serum that some teenagers got a hold of? Maybe they were all brothers and they're super buff to begin with, but the serum turned them into sharks. And instead of skateboarding through the streets, they were so heavy and powerful that it was like they swam through the streets and the streets tore up around them. They could be like sharks of the street or something.
Yes,
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. We'll call it, what is it? Like
road shark, maybe?
Or asphalt sharks, or concrete sharks.
Could be. Oh, I like that one. It's got to be more catchy. Like maybe some alliteration here. Street
skate sharks.
There you go. Street sharks. That's it.
There you go. Yeah, we need to pitch that. That'll be great.
I haven't made that in a live action thing yet. I don't even know what's going on at this point.
I mean, I think they've tried. But anyway, so let's get back to Santa Jaws. So the Santa Jaws herself is kind of wild. Thankfully, it's not just a great white shark, which is, I think, one of the great problems, I think, with all of these ridiculous shark movies, these sharksploitation movies, because, good Lord, there were more of them than zombies for a while. I got sick of zombie movies for a while.
There was actually a zombie shark movie, I've heard.
Yeah, well, yes, we talked about it. But it's not just a great white shark. They decide it's a great white shark that, got all Christmassy, basically. It's got Christmas-themed superpowers. The teeth are all red and green.
It wears a Santa hat on
its dorsal fin. That's the most obvious one.
It's a magical shark.
It's a magical shark. And his eyes are, her eyes, I keep getting it. Her eyes are red and...
like Rudolph's nose.
Yes, like Rudolph's nose.
Like Rudolph's nose.
And
the lights that were, around her.
Yes, I was going to say, if you thought that, being a ridiculous, stupidly hungry shark with a bottomless pit for a stomach was crazy enough. She has a line of Christmas lights that she can use to lasso people. So it's like, I didn't get you.
Awesome.
I didn't get you off of the deck, and I feel too lazy to actually jump out of the water and get you. So, just lasso you and drag you in.
She gets more powerful as the movie progresses. Yeah. So she gains like powers.
It's so you have that, and then because our heroes figure out. We'll get into this with the whole monkey's paw angle with the magic pen. They try to just draw in like a giant candy cane that impales her, it just like gets stuck in her head, and now she's like a narwhal and just like impales people with it.
Narwhal shark, a shark wall, as it were.
A shark wall, yeah. There you go. And so it's like a weird pseudo unicorn thing going on, and kind of stabby.
So it was so good.
Yes.
I give the movie credit. I mean, like I said, it's a nice shark design. I do also appreciate the fact that some of the effects are practical.
Yes.
The
CGI was kind of wonky when it was in there. Thankfully, it's not in there constantly. I give them credit.
No, they didn't lean on it.
They didn't lean on it. To be honest, I think they spent more time doing the Santa hat dorsal fin, which was a practical effect. Yeah. So I did appreciate that. But whenever she jumps out of the water and getting to grab at people or stab people, like with the candy cane thing and all of that, that's all CGI.
But they didn't. That's all CGI, but they didn't linger on it so long to where it takes you out of the moment. So yes, you recognize it that it's CGI, but it's a quick few seconds, so you can take it for what it is, still be in the movie, still be in the moment, and not be so offended by the bad CGI that you're like, this is a horrible movie.
Yeah.
Right. I also felt that given the derivation of the shark with the magical pen, the CGI It felt like those old movies where they would merge like Superman and he'd be illustrated for a little bit and then he's real again. And, you know, so I felt like it was that type of effect where it was like an illustrated effect.
I think you're thinking of the early 40s series.
Yeah, like the George Reeves stuff.
No, not George Reeves. It was the book, Alan something. It was from the early 40s. Yeah.
Oh man, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't remember his name, unfortunately. But here's my thing. I do appreciate, you know, that level of absurdity that kept getting piled onto it. But I'm going to be honest with you. My favorite part of the movie is the first scene.
Oh, okay.
You know, where it's like a dramatization of the comic book. I was like, why can't the whole movie be this? I would like this is my perfect like stupid B-movie shark movie. Like, this is what I want. Okay?
Yeah, I kind of want to see that movie. Did you see the name of the actor who played Evil Santa?
No.
Evil Santa.
His name is Creek, like the small rivulet. Creek Wilson.
Creek Wilson.
What an awesome name for a bad guy.
I was like, I want this. Okay, I want the hammy acting and the cheesy one-liners and evil super buff Santa with the tattoos naughty and nice on his forearms, his Popeye-sized forearms. I want this. Why can't this be the movie? And then here was the dangerous precedent that set. Okay, I'm like, okay, fine. It's the comic book. It's a fantasy sequence. All right, fine. It's, you know, dreamed up by a couple of teenage boys. This is exactly the sort of nonsense that teenage boys are going to come up with when they make their own comic book. Fine. I kept waiting for them to come back.
Yeah.
I thought what this was doing was set, because what it's actually doing is it's setting up where Santa Jaws comes from. I kept waiting for somebody at some point, and this is why the whole monkey's paw thing with the pen is just makes it completely crumble. And I remember this especially the first time I watched it, because I kept looking at my brother Jared for about half the movie. It's like, I've already got a solution for them. Why aren't they figuring it out? And then they sort of do it, but I'm like, that's not what I was thinking, guys. Nobody thought, hey, this pen, when I draw stuff with it, makes them come to life. So that brought Santa Jaws to life. So then they just think, well, why don't we use it to use inanimate objects against Santa Jaws? Nobody thought to draw the hero from the comic to make him show up to help them.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do that? Like, that would have been so perfect with this like cheesy pseudo Schwarzenegger guy trying to help them fight Santa Jaws. Even if you have him get killed by Santa Jaws and it still falls to the teenage boy, fine, I'm cool with that. But I would have loved him to have just showed up in the real world and everyone's
have that guy come back.
Yeah, have that guy come back, and it's like Last Action Hero. You know, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he's like, is like, stand aside, I have people to save. You know, like it's it's like, why didn't you do that? Or and then he takes a liking to he takes a liking to the Instagram model, and maybe she's like, oh, maybe I like you. My husband is dead now. You know, it's like it was like, you should have leaned into that. And the comic shop owner uses the pen to make his own illustrations to give himself a silent Russian girlfriend and a ton of money and a car. I'm like, so that's the thing that bugged me, is that there was a very obvious thing to do, a potential solution that I felt like was foreshadowed, and for half the movie, the first time I saw it, I'm like, why aren't they doing this?
Yep.
It's like, so that was a
sequel.
The sequel.
And in the sequel, Bad Santa is redrawn, and now Santa Jaws gets to be Godzilla and come back to save the day. That would be freaking awesome.
That would be great. Yes.
Yeah, Misty Tally, there's your sequel. Pay that off.
It writes itself.
Pay that off. I will write you a script.
Yep.
I will write you that script.
Easy to do.
Yep. I'd watch it.
Email me right now. I will write you a script for Santa Jaws 2 Electric Boogaloo, and and it's going to be exactly that. And you will thank me later.
Yes. Yes.
The money will rain from the heavens. That could actually be a scene. I'm sure we could work that in somewhere.
I'm just saying, like, I feel
bad for Svetlana at the end of the day.
For who?
Oh,
what happened to Svetlana?
She disappeared.
Oh, the Russian lady.
I would assume she disappeared once everything kind of reset back.
Well, it's funny that you bring that.
Not reset, but did the comic book shop reset?
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing. There are now that I think about it, there's actually 2 characters we get no resolution to.
Right.
We don't get a resolution to the comic shop owner, but then again, I don't think we aren't supposed to like him because he goes like full tilt.
He ends up being the villain. He ends up being the true villain.
Yeah. He ends up being the real villain because the kids are like, you need to give us the pen back because people are gonna die if you don't. He's like, I don't care. He's like, he's less of a supervillain, more like a petulant child at that point. I don't care. Although I'm gonna say right now, that girl, that was a stupid move, and the only reason it worked is because she got lucky. Okay, that was a classic case of if you fail, which is what. 90+% of the chance was that this move was going to fail. We would say, well, that was stupid, but because it worked, you get to be the big dang hero. Which is she's like, I'm just going to tackle him, even though he's threatening to drop the pen in the water. And then I'm like, if you tackle him when he's on, jump at him from the dock when he's on the boat, he's going to drop the pen. But she got lucky and managed to grab the pen as she's tackling him. I'm like, oh, come on.
I mean, she is a track and field star.
But she's a secret nerd. That was the other thing we find out.
Right.
She's actually a secret nerd. I'd rather eat double fudge ice cream and spend the whole day reading comic books like the Human Fly, which, by the way, the Human Fly is actually, well, it's a real name. There was actually a comic book. Thank you, Ben Avery, for making me aware of this, because he was doing a comic book show where he talked about there was a Marvel comic called The Human Fly back in the 70s. Was it the 70s?
Something for you.
Was it the 70s? I think it was the 70s. I'm pretty sure it was the 70s, and it was supposedly based on a real life like Evel Knievel style stuntman. According to Ben.
Interesting. So it's not harkening back to the horror flick.
The Fly?
The Fly.
No.
That's kind of what I thought it was. It's literally
because if you see when we see the comic book prop, it looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, my favorite scene to kind of go back to how this whole thing started was the poor random dude dressed as Santa's helper dangling his feet off the pier and Santa Jaws biting off his legs.
No, didn't bite the legs off. Push the boat into his legs and cut them off.
Right. Push the boat, but then he comes walking on his bloody stuff.
It's a good scene. It's a good scene.
It's hilarious because he's an elf now. He's like truly the size.
He's truly an elf. And the CGI looks a little weird because you can tell that he's just like walking on his knees and they just tried to CGI
help me!
It's so
like, oh yes, I'm going to help you as you're bleeding out your femoral arteries.
Because we find out that Santa Jaws, this is the weird thing. Santa Jaws is attracted to Christmassy things. Okay, I'm willing to go with that. But we also find out that anything Christmas is Santa Jaws' one weakness. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Kryptonite.
I'm like, hold on, back up. This is like Superman loving kryptonite.
Yes.
This makes no sense. I was like, I want the candy cane, even though the candy cane will kill me. I'm like, you know what I want to see? I want someone to throw a baby Jesus at Santa Jaws and see if that works. Throw a nativity set.
The turkey did, sort of. Kind of.
So the turkey loaded with explosives.
The turkey.
Yeah, I thought
a family project.
A family project,
like a tradition.
Yeah, there you go. I thought isn't that everybody's family tradition? Killing an evil comic book shark. But I will admit, I was like, this is a Jaws homage right here, except it's a turkey instead of an oxygen tank.
Right.
And now, to their credit, they didn't make it super out because they're trying to shoot it, but they did it in a bit of an off-kilter way, where it wasn't like it was in its mouth and then they shoot it and then it blows up. It was like it was trying to get the turkey from the side, and then they got lucky and shot the thing right as Santa Jaws was about to grab it. So I'm like, okay.
But they pulled those explosives randomly out of a shack on the pier, out of a box labeled
scene in a film.
Oh yeah, that was the
worst bit of acting in the entire film.
Between the brother,
the two kids, the brother and the friend were chit-chatting. You're a nerd. You're a jock.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, and I think I had a note about that. It was like, no one's used nerd as an insult since the 90s.
Yeah.
Where was it?
And the jock like crying about like, you'll go to college and I won't be able to get a scholarship.
It's like what are you talking about? Sports scholarships are a thing. You get more money than the smart kids.
This is what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, who gets the student loans?
Yeah, I think the most interesting line out of that whole exchange was he says, "We're all part stereotype." I'm like, you know what? You're right.
That's not wrong.
I mean,
you're not wrong.
I can agree with that. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, seriously. It's not as egregious as I've heard some people. Some people really haven't caught up with the fact that nerd's no longer an insult. It hasn't been since, like I said, the end of the 90s. I mean, at this point, you're most likely going to work for a nerd. Get over it, people. All you dumb jocks who thought it was like, look at me, I'm on the top of the high school food chain. Well, guess what? You get out into the real world, the nerd's going to be your boss, and he's going to remember. Right. Every time you stuffed him into that locker.
Just saying, Elon Musk is a nerd.
Just saying. The nerds took over. Yeah. So just funny. Funny how that happened.
The characters, since we're kind of talking a little bit about the characters, I actually really liked the uncle.
Oh, the one with the Instagram model wife. Yes.
Even though he was a little braggadocious about his success, he loved his family. Yeah. And he wanted to be there with them. He tried to encourage his nephew and
both nephews in their own individual ways.
Yeah.
The baseball and the art. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to give the movie credit. It doesn't lean into as many cliches, and even the ones it doesn't lean into as hard as you would expect it to. Like, it would have been easy to kind of go the Home Alone route with this and make all of the which, I mean, it works in Home Alone, that's fine, but that was kind of because it was kind of the first time something like that had been done, where you turn all of the family members into these kind of annoying caricatures, cartoon characters. They don't quite go there, but there's just enough of it that you're like, okay, I get the idea what kind of a character we're dealing with here. I was surprised how the characters were allowed to be a little bit more grounded, even a little bit more rounded than you would have expected. Yes. The uncle has a nice moment with Cody at the beginning, and he's like, oh man, you should have saw it's like, oh, you got in trouble again? It's like, yeah, I did. It's like, oh, well, you should have saw your mom when she was your age. She went through a punk phase,
Right.
Exactly. The characters were relatable, and it wasn't such a massive cast of characters that any of them got totally lost in the shuffle, except for Elf Dude was completely lost.
Well, that's because he kind of
left him to die on the pier.
Yeah, he was the one random civilian that had nothing to do with any of them at all. They didn't even know his name.
Yeah,
but everybody else, kind of had a little bit of time to develop, just a little bit. And they were believable. They were all believable as characters. None of them were so over the top that you thought, there's no way that person exist.
Yeah, I think probably the closest one to that was probably the Instagram model, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Georgia, but I think that was just because she can't turn off her online persona. I think that's the big joke.
Right.
She's always in content creation mode.
Until the resolution, which we haven't really gotten to necessarily yet, but in the resolution when there's a great reset and it's Christmas morning and she's in normal matching jammies with her husband, drinking normal hot chocolate and talking about how yesterday was like a Christmas movie, which means the yesterday apparently that actually happened versus the one that we get to see was a Hallmark movie versus a weird shark movie. And she was a normal person, not somebody who was locked in her Instagram persona. So we do get to see that side of her a little bit, not fully, but
yeah,
a little more wholesome side.
Oh yeah, a little bit more wholesome side. But I will admit, I mean, they had a moment where I wondered if she really only thought of her husband as just like the camera guy, which is something I've heard some people talking about, like these Instagram models who have boyfriends that they just keep around so they can take pictures of them to post on, or videos or whatever to post on their accounts and then rake in money. They don't really care about them. There was a moment where I wondered about that, but I think for the most part, it's supposed to be that they actually do love each other. She's just an airhead.
She was a trope. I mean, she was in there to be a trope, and I thought it was fun how they played with that trope a little bit. So. Yeah, a
little bit more. Like I said, this is an incredibly silly movie. It's definitely a B movie, and it knows it is.
Right,
but it doesn't lean. But it
either.
Yeah, but it doesn't lean into certain things as much as you would expect.
And it doesn't annoy you with any of its tropiness, bad effects, whatever. It's like just enough to where you appreciate it for what it is, but it doesn't throw things at you to the point where you get annoyed by the characters, annoyed by the production, annoyed by this. Because I've watched movies where it's like, man, I am so annoyed at this character. I cannot stand them. No, this doesn't do that at all. It gives you a nice balance of the camp with the heart of Christmas and the magic of Christmas and all that, so it really does a good job in mixing all those elements into just a fun, crazy shark movie.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, here you go, Misty Tally. Here's the actual title. I've wrote this down in my notes. Here's the actual title for your sequel. Because I wrote this down, but when Cody's like, she's going after my family. So I wrote Santa Jaws, The Revenge. Because there's a Jaws sequel called Jaws, The Revenge, where that's exactly it. Somehow the shark is like a slasher movie villain who never dies and is targeting the family. So it's supposed to be like the shark from the first movie that is magically alive again. I haven't seen Jaws, The Revenge, and I'm just like, this already makes no sense. Apparently, I should watch it just because it's kind of one of those infamously bad movies. But there you go. It could be Santa Jaws, The Revenge, just to keep it going.
Right.
Yeah. And
I like the idea of hearkening back to one of my favorite Christmas movies, which is Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh.
And if you remember the Inception movie within it, where the chosen successor to Santa was playing Santa in a movie called Christmas Sleigh.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't know, Santa Jaws, Christmas Sleigh. And that would bring back Bad Santa.
Yes. There you go.
Working on this,
guys.
In my own brain.
We need to make a fan movie. I mean, we need to just do this.
I'm betting we
$5, some pocket lint, and a button.
The actor
we'll film on Lake Michigan.
Santa Jaws. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
But there's what. So we don't get any resolution. I was trying to say to Clark, our super villainous comic shop owner. But you know who else we don't get any resolution for? And I was a little annoyed by this one.
Friend.
Steve.
Yeah.
What happened to Steve? Like
Poor
that, like
Steve.
Steve gets
Minecraft
eaten.
server.
The comic book. He's the Asian best friend to Cody, who wrote the comic book. Cody illustrated it, and they make a big deal because he gets caught by Santa Jaws, and that's actually like the one death that they actually meditate on for a little bit. As normally, everybody reacts to the deaths. But no one is as affected by the death as you would think they would be. Like Cody should be like losing his mind because he just saw his grandfather, who was victim number one here.
Right.
He just saw his grandfather get murdered by a shark of his own making. He should be flipping out a little bit more than he is.
Right.
It's whatever on that, but it's probably it's because everyone's fine by the end of it, but we don't know what happened. Like Steve is the one character we stop on. We don't know if Steve is okay by the end because he doesn't show up. When everybody else is fine, when the girl is fine, she gets caught by the shark too, and that's another one they kind of meditate on because she's the love interest, so you're supposed to be upset. And he's like, I gotta go check on the girl, make sure she's okay. Oh, the girl's okay. Hey, you want to go get ice cream? So he's remembering that. I mean, he also kind of forgets that his grandfather died because he's like, we need to go talk to the girl to get the comic because she took the comic. And he's like, I'm worried about looking. He goes like, your grandfather is dead. He's like, I like you, Cody, but you're perilously close to psychopath territory here. Okay. Your grandfather is dead. But he never thinks to check on Steve.
I know, poor Steve.
What about Steve?
The true side character.
About Steve, the actor Han Tran, who plays him, is actually also from Louisiana.
Of course he is.
He's from Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. There's probably a bunch of. I guarantee you, there's a bunch of local talent. Oh, okay. There's a bunch of local talent. I guarantee you in this.
Oh,
movie.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it was made by people it was made by people based in Louisiana, so they just went with some local talent over there. So I don't know. I would have liked some resolution to Steve, because of like if you're gonna do the the almost it was all a dream bit, which I'm guessing is what you're talking about, Encyclo, with likening this to It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
They come perilously close to it, to the whole it was all a dream thing, like I said, but you still don't give resolution to everybody. We still don't know, but I guess we don't have to like Clark, so we don't have to worry about I wanted to know if Steve was okay.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Steve be there on Christmas Day? Why?
Well, and the other thing, just to throw this out there, because there's a magical world here with this pen, and I kind of like to know the rules of the pen. Mm-hmm. So when Cody wipes out the magical world that was created in Santa Jaws by burning the coloring book or comic book that he created. Santa Jaws, that world is wiped out, or that instance of the world is wiped out. So what happens to the comic book world? Is that magically wiped out as well? It seems like those drawings still existed. So there would still be a classic car, stacks of cash, and a Russian model who can't speak English. Am I wrong?
You might be overthinking this.
Maybe I am, or maybe that's the sequel.
No, apparently, judging by the final shot of this movie, the sequel is the apparent corruption of Cody. Because he burns the comic, and you're like, yes, Cody, make sure Santa Jaws can't come back. But then he looks at the pen, and he looks at the comic, and he smirks and goes and runs off. And I'm like, what? Was that supposed to be a moment of foreboding?
I don't know, because he definitely did not burn the pen.
No, he did not.
Because it was a gift from Grandpa.
Or is this a Green Goblin moment?
Yeah, I was like, that was a gift from Grandpa.
Great responsibility.
This is true. Although this also, and the movie doesn't have to explain this, but it does beg a few questions like, where did Grandpa get the pen? And why is Grandpa giving the pen to Cody? If the pen did Grandpa know that the pen can do stuff like this?
That is a good question.
Did Grandpa know that the pen could do stuff like this, but he knows that Cody needs to learn a few lessons? Maybe he didn't anticipate that it would involve him getting eaten by a shark, by a Christmas-themed shark, but
Maybe Grandpa drank a few too many cups of his famous eggnog.
Yeah.
Which is what ended up getting him killed. By the way, the first killing of the film involved alcohol.
How do you know it was alcoholic eggnog?
Because the way Grandpa was going on and on about it and then said, "You want a little sip?" That is not what you say if it's NA eggnog to a child.
Oh man, that's great.
Well, maybe he was a little hungover. It was in the morning, so unless there's some day drinking going on here.
He was schlucking on that eggnog in the boat at like 6 a.m., bro. I don't know what to tell you. This man was a lush.
He is the most high-functioning drunk I have ever seen. I'm just saying.
He's like, I made cinnamon rolls for Christmas breakfast.
Hey, Cody, you want to go?
I'm gonna leave them in the oven after I told you I'd get them and go see my girlfriend.
Hey, Cody, you want to go fishing? We get some fish for Christmas dinner. Have some life advice, and then your comic book character eats me.
So one other thing I did want to talk about is the apparently unresolved rage issue that Cody had toward his mother.
Yes.
All the way to the end. He never kind of seemed to resolve that because he was still flipping out on Mom and putting her on little guilt trips and gaslighting her at the very end. Like, Mom, that pen was the last thing Papa Joe ever gave me, Mom. Like, what do you think she's gonna do, Mr. Guilt Trip Boy? And then she waltzes down to the shark.
I'm telling you, that combined with the final shot of this movie, this is the secret origin of a supervillain.
And I think it's Cody.
That's what I mean. Cody's gonna be the villain in the sequel. In Santa Jaws: The Revenge, Cody is going to be the villain.
I mean, all it's going to take is for one bad thing to happen in his life again.
One bad day.
Like the girlfriend to say, "Sorry, I can't make it to your comic book convention. I have a track meet."
Okay. Well, yeah, she finally decides she likes track and field more than comic book suddenly. What a betrayal that would be. When she's supposed to be the secret nerd. Also, I want to know, can someone tell me what this comic book dance is? Because I want to go.
Wait, what?
They bring that up because that was like the impetus. It's just like you're grounded, young man. It's like, but what about the comic book dance? Well, I guess you're not going.
Did they say dance?
Yes.
I don't remember that, but wow, I would
go. I'm like, comic book dance?
The party a dance? Maybe that's
a comic book dance on Christmas. Sign me up.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
if I heard it correctly, if I am remembering this correctly, I need a comic book Christmas Eve dance in my life.
Because that is totally a Nathan Marchand thing. We got the ballroom dancing, check. We got comic books, check. Yeah. We got a killer shark on the loose that hates Christmas, check.
I don't know about the killer shark on Christmas. I'll take the Christmas, maybe not the killer shark.
World of Nathan Marchand in the multiverse of Nathan Marchand.
The only problem is that I don't. There's not a lot of good spot. Well, we do have 3 rivers. So it would have to be a river shark. Santa Jaws, if Santa Jaws came to Fort Wayne, Santa Jaws would have to use the rivers to get around.
It's a Fort Wayne floor shark.
Fort Wayne floor shark. There you go.
It starts in the Well, no, it would start at the local Walmart. Why not, right? And work its way to the dance hall.
Wow.
Or one of the, I'm hearing people talking about how comic shops are dying, and I'm like, really? Because we got 4 in Fort Wayne, including one that popped up post-COVID. I don't know how.
I see it now, though. Comic book shops are dying. Floor Shark is making it happen that much faster.
What happened to books, comics, and things? We don't know, but there's giant shark bite marks on the wall.
We found shark teeth.
And a few severed limbs right in front of the shark bite and the wall. We still don't know what happened.
I mean, I can see this one ending in a dance-off between Floor Shark and Nathan.
So I turn into Star-Lord and it ends with a dance-off like in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Why the heck not?
Yes.
It's like, come at me, Santa Jaws. Come at me, Santa Jaws. We're going to have a dance-off.
Yes. Oh, man.
And you dance off to Mariah Carey singing All I Want for Christmas is. And that's when the ground is rumbling that whole time. And up through the floor bursts Floor Shark. Oh, you!
It starts dancing on its tail fins.
Right, and then the music goes as blood is flying everywhere from the people who came, Yeah, I mean, it literally writes itself.
Misty Tally.
Wow.
Call me. I know you'll have to fly in from Louisiana, but it's okay. We have Fort Wayne International Airport. Right. I will pick you up, and we will make a movie.
Wow.
You want new kills that no one's ever seen before? Floor Shark coming up through the dance hall, and blood flies everywhere.
And we will buy the rights to Michael Jackson's "Blood on the Dance Floor," and we will play it for every kill.
I mean, like I said, this writes itself.
Wow.
And Bex is just like, I'm just here.
Yeah. I'd watch it.
He's like, I'm here for the kills. So did we ever get a kill count for this?
Wait, hold on. We had Grandpa.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
The elf.
Yeah, elf.
The
uncle.
The uncle. Eventually the aunt.
Yeah.
Steve. The girlfriend. Well, the would-be girlfriend.
Yeah.
Comic book guy.
The brother. The comic book guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dad.
Mom.
That's
a 10-fold kill.
It's at least 10.
It's a good complete number. Good round number.
And nobody got caught by the shark in the comic book sequence. But Bad Santa did die.
Well, Bad Santa, so you could theoretically count an 11.
We could count 11. Mm-hmm. So the actual first kill was Bad Santa, but the first real life kill was poor Grandpa.
Right, but what is real life and what is fantasy?
Is it just fantasy? That just reminds me of this one time in the official Discord server for my podcast, the Marcolite Lounge, which you should totally join. I had to do a new version of it because the other one accidentally got deleted. It wasn't my fault, but one of the first things that happened in one of the chats is everybody was just reciting Bohemian Rhapsody one line at a time.
Nice.
Because someone just said, what is real life? And then it just prompted the song.
I'm imagining somebody like hovering their mouse over the recycle bin as Nathan's like, no. And there goes the Discord. It just happened.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. If you want to join, there will be links in the show notes. I have a link tree that will take you to all the things. That's why you should always read the show notes. I put a lot of work into the show notes, people.
Right, and they
should be appreciated.
There's also a Facebook group of which I'm a part, and I do occasionally send a meme.
Yeah, I wish I trying to drum up more stuff in all of the socials. I don't know. It's social media is weird. Anyway,
you'll occasionally get to see a choice meme that I find that's kaiju related. I try to keep it on topic.
Yeah. Although I will never forget when you found one that actually combined Godzilla and Sailor Moon.
I did that.
You've occasionally found those, and Bex and I are just like, we love you, but in two very different ways.
There are obscure parts of the internet.
There are pure parts of the internet. I'm just saying. I am waiting. The closest we've gotten to kaiju themed magical girls there was actually a series. I don't think it's been officially released in the US, but people have watched it anyway. That was called Kaiju Girls, which was about cute anime girls who look like Ultraman kaiju.
I thought there was such a thing as that, but I thought it was also like maybe not something that.
It looks a little unsavory, which is why I'm a little surprised that Subaraya gave their approval for it. You know, but I'm just saying kaiju themed magical girls. You need that needs to exist because Bex and I need the world's most perfect crossover.
The most perfect crossover.
Sometimes things that you think
in a
are
world
perfect are not. So I'll give you a example. I like Reese's and I also like pizza, but I don't think that would be a good crossover.
Are you trying to say that magical girls and kaiju cannot? I'm just saying.
I'm not saying it would be bad. I'm just saying it might not be everything you think it would be.
Well, I mean, you know, if dinosaurs can be used multiple times for Super Sentai and Power Rangers. We need wholesome kaiju themed magical girls. I'm just
there.
Saying.
You go. That's the word.
Wholesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Something a little less cutie honey and more Sailor Moon. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh man.
Which is funny. I don't know if you saw you got tagged in something like that too, because apparently Discotheque is also releasing the original Cutie Honey, and Jessica got a little annoyed with me for saying that it was her favorite. And then she wanted to rip my throat out and feed me to you.
I'm pretty sure that was one of the finds we found back in the day when anime was very, very, very hard to come by. And it was like, oh, they have an anime at the Blockbuster.
The Blockbuster? Did you say Blockbuster?
Our town was so generic.
It was Blockbuster.
Blackbuster? So many bad jokes there.
No, I'm not going anywhere with that.
No.
Other than I mispronounced
Blockbuster.
The name of a now defunct chain of video rental establishments.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and it's been made a couple of times, which is why I am really surprised that the live action movie from Hideaki Anno is remarkably unsleazy. I couldn't believe it when I was watching it. It's the live action movie is actually closer to Sailor Moon.
Well, the thing you have about live action actors and actresses is they actually have to live with themselves for things that they do.
Well, you say that, but there was a live action Cutie Honey show that was closer to the anime. I've seen some bits of it. So, yeah, but the movie, not so much. And let's just say I have it on my podcast master list, and I will be calling Bex. So,
oh boy!
But I promise you, Bex, it's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. But anyways, we should get back to Santa Jaws.
Back to Santa Jaws.
Back to the show. Yeah, back to the show. I don't know. Have we covered basically everything?
I think so.
Well, I will bring this up. It did amuse me that Steve's big personality trait is all the puns, and I give them credit. Yes. They worked really hard, and they didn't always go with the most obvious, headache-inducing puns that you could think of. You know, they did some of the ones that you would kind of expect, like jump the shark. Ooh,
yeah.
And
there were moments of genius in this film. There really were little kernels of...
Yeah, I'm trying to see what were some of the other ones. Oh, holy molar. Although that was said by Cody, I think. No, it was Steve. He did say that, I think.
Although sharks don't actually have any.
Yeah, but it was it's holy moly and teeth, okay? Cut in some slack.
But, like, sharks don't have molars.
Well, actually, sharks don't have molars.
But Cody's got some goofy one-liners in this. So that's why I said, son of a fish. Really?
Yeah.
Son of a fish.
Santa Jaws is coming to town.
Ooh. I'm surprised they didn't say chumming to town, because they had Christmas chum where they just did it was like crumpled sugar cookies with random pieces of meat, and it's
Christmas chum.
Christmas chum.
Great.
Ooh, and then you had
you want to try the Christmas chum.
And the brother even had a line where I'm like, somebody was trying to quote Schwarzenegger without quoting Schwarzenegger, because he said, if it can be heard, it can be killed. I'm like, well, no. Yeah, that is Schwarzenegger. He's like, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah.
That line wouldn't work because most of these kills are remarkably unbloody.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I think the goriest kill is the poor elf.
Yeah.
And it's not like there's blood splurting everywhere, and the only times we saw blood in the water was when Mom headshot an alligator. And they're like, oh, darn, it wasn't the shark. Like, but you headshot an alligator. The heck, Mom? First off, you couldn't hit anything, and then you headshot the thing. So apparently it's...
No, she was like a perfect shot with the gator. And then later, when everybody's trying to shoot the shark, they're like, oh, let me shoot like 12 feet over to the other side.
Yeah, let Mom handle this.
Like, why wasn't Mom
Give her the rifle.
Apparently, her punk phase involved some
sharpshooting.
Sniping.
Your mom had a punk phase.
Your mom had a punk phase. She was a big fan of the Second Amendment. She was part of the Second Amendment punks. The NRA. She joined like an NRA like
punks
model
for
group.
NRA.
Yeah, punks for NRA. I don't know. I will say this.
New idea for a movie.
No.
Oh, there you go.
That's where you have clubs at a school. Each one of them are for one of the amendments, and they hate all the other clubs. You got the First Amendmenters that are like hyper religious, and they say anything that they want to.
Wow.
And then the Second Amendment kids are running around shooting everybody with BB guns.
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that this kind of dawned on me this time watching it. Okay, funny enough, this movie, if you watch it on Amazon Prime, is rated 16 plus. I'm like, what the heck is that? Does that make it R-rated? I don't understand.
I don't know.
And there's really only a couple of moments that I think make it worthy of that. There's not like swearing everywhere.
No.
No gratuitous sexual content.
Not at all.
Most of the violence is remarkably tame, except for like the poor elf getting his legs cut off,
Right.
So it's like these moments. And if not for those, or, some people getting impaled by the candy cane nose, because Santa Jaws becomes a narwhal for a hot minute. Other than moments like that, like, you could have passed this off as like, I think that's why I thought the Home Alone comparison was kind of interesting, because it felt like a 90s, family comedy adventure movie.
Honestly, I would put it in the same class of movies as Gremlins. I mentioned Gremlins earlier.
Right. Yep.
And I feel like Gremlins is totally a Christmas movie. And in this same this is in the same vein.
Kinda, but Gremlins is still a lot more deranged.
True, but I'm just saying, like, if you would let your child watch Gremlins today, Santa Jaws ain't nothing. That's, I guess, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I just wonder.
And for that matter, if you wouldn't let your child watch Gremlins, you might still be okay with Santa Jaws. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like I said, it's just so weird that, like I said, most of the violence is remarkably tame, except for a couple of moments.
Yeah, there's moments.
But they're very brief. Like I said, they don't linger on it to the point where it takes you out of the movie.
Right, and you're not going to see like intestines flying or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that type of gore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Certainly not with a K. That was a joke early on. That was yeah. There you go. Yeah. And I also did appreciate the little kind of nerdy comic book references. Somebody says like, "Yo, I'm going to be the next Frank Miller." It's people like me who are going to know what that actually means.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I know who Frank Miller is, and Frank Miller, you are not. But okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big comic book guy, but I happen to know that one.
Yeah.
We may have watched 300.
Yeah, you may have watched 300.
May have.
Yeah. Oh, okay. This bit was funny too when Georgia gets introduced and she's talking about all the stuff that she does on Snapstagram. Which the satire was thick with that one. But and she actually says LOL, and then the grandpa says Gesundheit.
Yeah. Yes.
I was like, that is very much what a boomer would say, right there.
Yeah.
I did like the little joke where the older brother was one of her many Instagram followers, and the uncle was like, "I'm not sure that that's appropriate." That was pretty good.
Well, yeah, because they also talk about, I was like, well, you didn't even invite us to the wedding. And it's like, yeah, but it happened in a week. And I'm like, oh. So at least they're married, I guess. But
yeah.
But I guess the idea there is that like, well, they're just kind of stuck with each other now. You know, what are you going to do? And the family's stuck
for a living.
Right.
He's in New York.
He comes across like he's like an agent or something.
Right. They had the wedding overseas, and they had a week's notice. And what does he do?
I'm guessing he's some sort of like agent or some sort of a mogul, because he's always on the phone talking to somebody.
That's true.
Right.
You know, and he takes pictures of her and takes videos, and so he knows what he's doing with that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I'm guessing he's, like I said, he's some sort of mogul of some kind, like a low-level mogul. Although there's like a throwaway line that he has when talking with her when she's showing off in her swimsuit, and I'm like, I need to know what happened. Or maybe I don't want to know what happened, but they make mention of the dog walking leotard incident.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no, unitard. Not unitard, leotard. Yeah.
Unitard.
I'm like, wait, what? And then they're just like, oh, they just shudder at the thought of it. It's like, wait, what?
I like to think the dog was in the unitard.
I don't know. My mind went to some weird place because it says dog walking leotard. So, incident. So I'm like, is that a leotard you wear while walking the dog? Is it the dog you walk while it's wearing the leotard? Like, I mean, like, I have questions. I'm also picturing things like some idiot decided, you know what would be fashionable and practical? Like a workout leotard, because I still think it's the 80s and, you know, women still wear, you know, spandex leotards to the gym. I'm going to make a leotard that has like a little strap that you can put on your dog so you can walk the dog and get a workout. And then that ends badly after the dog sees a cat.
And as a disclaimer from the Redeemed Otaku podcast side of this, don't Google that.
You Googled that?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
I didn't Google it. I was
like, Encyclo, what are you doing?
It's just one of those things that you just, words were said, don't Google it.
The words in this sequence.
Yes, do not Google those words.
Google
not in that order.
Nothing good will come of that.
You know, it's not quite as bad as the Wicked toys for children that it had a QR code that took you to wicked.com. Oops.
I'm not going to Google that either, I guess.
No, it's just I heard about the story, and that there were upset parents because they're like, that's not for the movie.
Oh, whoops.
And on that note,
yeah, let's move on. I did also like the joke where when they were talking to the girl and they're like, hey, we need to get to the place where you left the comics. Like, oh, it's only a 12-minute jog.
Yeah.
And the boys are like, what?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like you said, there are flashes of genius in this, but otherwise, it's a B movie. It's a very silly,
holiday-themed
B movie.
Francis Ford Coppola
Yeah.
No.
But admittedly, I mean, I've only seen a few of these sharksploitation movies, but just by reputation, I can tell you, yeah, if you haven't figured it out, this one's better than it has any right to be. It's still silly, but it's still better than it has any right to be.
Well,
it's
like
a lot of fun. It's a fun movie. It definitely hits all the high points for like a Christmas movie in terms of family togetherness, magic. Hits those points of what if, of all
coming home,
family were gone. That coming home theme. Yep, it's all there.
Yep.
So I mean, watch it. I say watch it.
I was reading through some of the reviews on IMDb, and one of them was, and I think this succinctly encapsulates this: the new gold standard in Christmas shark movies.
Agreed.
Are there other Christmas shark movies?
I mean, this is the gold standard. So if you like Christmas shark movies, you need to watch this one.
I suddenly feel the urge to Google Christmas sharks just to see what comes up. You know what? I'm going to do that live. That's how we'll end this. I'm just going to Google Christmas sharks and see what comes up. Just see what happens.
Dibs on succinct encapsulation.
Yeah, thanks.
The first thing that comes up is a YouTube video that says Christmas Sharks Unite.
Okay.
And a bunch of weird and or cutesy images with sharks. Oh, wait. I spelled it wrong.
What?
I spelled it Christmas Harks. Whoops. Anyway, let's try actually doing it correctly. And now I do it correctly, and the first thing that comes up is from the Wayfair website that says Shark Christmas, shark decorations, but that's an ad. But then
wow.
And then a YouTube video called Christmas Sharks, Christmas Carols, Pink Fong Songs for Children.
Like Baby Shark.
I guess
the world.
I guess it's Baby Shark Christmas. There's also something on Pluto TV called Christmas Sharks Season 1.
Oh boy.
And then but on the first page, after you go a few down, it comes to the IMDb page for this movie.
Good. Well, at least they get that.
At least they get that. I don't.
There you go.
So there you go. Let's end this madness, shall we?
Let's. I have nothing more to say.
All of my notes will be posted to Patreon. All right. So I'm not going to go over any listener feedback at the moment. And do we want to do like the full-fledged shout-outs, or do I just want to, just rattle off all the names right now, with this being a bonus episode and stuff?
It's your show.
I'll just rattle off the names. I'm not. This isn't. I'm doing this out of kayfabe anyway. And I know you guys were telling me like you had like 2 hours that you could do this, and I have a live stream I'm planning on doing right after this. Nice. So I'm just going to read off the names. So big shout outs to our patrons: Danny DiManna, Damon Noyes, our executive producer, the Cellcast, Eric Anderson of Nerd Chapel, Wynja the Ninja, Christopher Riner, the Indiscrite one. Please tell me if it's Indiscrite or Indiscreet. I have been asking for months. I need to know. Eli Harris, Jake Hambrick, one of my co-hosts on Henshin Power V3, Matt Walsh, but not that Matt Walsh, Jonathan Courtright, Leon Campbell. I should mention Christopher Reiner is one of my other co-hosts on Henshin Power V3. Leon Campbell, Michael Watson, who's the guy who worked on the Asylum movie, Edwin Gonzalez, quite possibly my biggest fan, Eric Pearl, Sam Allred, and I am terrible. I think I skipped over one very important one. That was your cue.
Oh. And the Redeemed Otaku podcast.
Yeah. Or Bex from Redeemed Otaku. Yeah. Did I actually, am I such a terrible person that I left you out? Did I leave you out? Holy crap, I think I did. Oh, no, you're not even in this list. I am a horrible person. Wow. Why? Why would I do that?
We rescind all fundage that we gave you.
Yeah, and then finally, And then finally, obviously, TofuFury! Someone actually, it was actually Edwin, found an episode of Teen Titans that actually had an angry tofu monster as the villain.
Oh.
Nice.
All right.
So he's like, it's the real TofuFury. I was like, oh, I didn't see that episode.
Wow.
Oh my. But why are you not in here? I'm a terrible person. I know I've shouted you out. Why is this list out of date?
You can put us in there again or leave us as anonymous donors. It's fine.
No.
I've been reset.
No.
Anyways, have you ever thought of using Powerpuff Girls as kaiju references?
I mean, they fought kaiju. I know enough about them.
That's all they do,
know.
basically. Yeah. So I was just curious if that ever came up.
No, it's come up.
Okay.
It has come up, and I would definitely consider it.
Clearly, I don't listen to every episode, so. I support you, though.
It's okay.
I don't listen to most of my episodes.
That's true.
Well, you know.
I always say, did you listen to the episode? Did you
I was there.
Did you like the music? Did you get the song that I added? And now he doesn't listen to it. So
yeah, well, I'm making sure you're back in the list. Now I'm wondering, it's like, have I been not shouting out Bex for like months now? I'm a horrible friend. Anyway, and then just to let everybody know, with the timing of this, the next mainline episode that you will get will be episode 100. And
nice.
This isn't a secret anymore, so I can mention it, but it's episode 100, the Destroy All Planets Rift Track Spectacular. We're going back to the Gamera well with that, and a commentary. And I have once again learned how difficult commentaries can be, Rift Tracks can be, as much as I love it. This is why I'm glad that the next milestone episode I'm planning on doing something like this for is not until episode 200. I'll have a much better idea of what we're doing there. And then
maybe next time, maybe by then we'll have Santa Jaws 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
That'll be the
Santa Jaws the Revenge. That's what it's. Santa Jaws the Revenge.
Santa Jaws the Revenge.
The Revenge. Yeah. Where they bring the character from the comic book in, and he's the actual hero. But anyway, yeah. And then the next couple of mainline episodes after that for the Monster Island World Tour, we're going to Copenhagen in Denmark to talk about both versions of Reptilicus. Yes, the infamous Reptilicus. And thanks to Vinegar Syndrome, the Danish version has been liberated from its home country for the non-Danes to finally see legally. A lot of people didn't even know there were two versions. And
are you going to eat Danishes while you review that?
Ha 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 ha.
That would be so awesome.
Steiny, get me a Danish. All right. And it's already been recorded. Peek behind the curtain. The next few episodes have already been recorded. And I should mention that's the next one that's actually episode 102. Episode 101 is a Patreon pick from Wynja the Ninja. We're going to be talking about a handful of episodes of Power Rangers Time Force, and I managed to convince my former co-host on the Power Trip, A Journey Through the Power Rangers franchise, Michael Hamilton, to join us for that, because that was part of the patron request. He's like, I want Michael to be on the show. I was like, okay, I'll work my magic, and I got him on there. That one's also been recorded, so that will be the next two episodes, and then after Reptilicus, we're going to get to the infamous Conga, which is when we go to jolly old England for the world tour. Because that is a British kaiju film. It's kind of icky. It's kind of icky with a mad scientist who likes his assistant a little too much, but in a very early 60s sort of way. So there's that. All right. That's a little more promotion than I was expecting, but I just realized my notes were technically incorrect. So... And I should mention for those Time Force episodes, it's when the 6th Ranger is introduced, and he has one of the coolest Zords in the entire Power Rangers franchise. I will not be taking any notes or objections, because the Q-Rex is amazing. Shut up. All right? I do think it can take the Dragon Sword. There, I said it! All right. Anyway, and now we come to the shameless self-promotion, because that's just a meme at this point, a catchphrase and a meme. So what do you two have?
Well, we do the show Redeemed Otaku, in case you haven't guessed that yet. We are on iTunes as well as Spotify. We also do some YouTubing as well. Right now, we're doing our Advent calendar, our homemade Advent calendar. So by the time this episode comes out, check out our YouTube. You can watch our Advent calendar openings where we're opening random packs. We don't know if we're going to get magic or Pokemon cards. So if you like that kind of thing, you can check out our YouTube channel. And we're on Facebook, Instagram, and I guess that's it. Yeah, so check us out. If you like anime, we review it from a Christian worldview, so we're very niche in that sense. But yeah, I'd highly encourage you to check it out.
Yeah. Any spiritual applications that you could mine from Santa Jaws?
Oh, man. Let's see. Family is important. Don't take
family is good. Don't make bargains with the devil.
Don't make bargains with monkey's paw magic pens from your grandpa.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
It is ultimately a piece on a Faustian bargain. So there is that.
Yeah.
As monkey's paw stories usually are.
As they are indeed.
Yeah. Although you would think, like, if you could just draw things to try to kill the shark, why not, I don't know, draw the bomb in its mouth or something?
So every time he did try to draw something, because he did attempt that, it ended up merging with the shark and making the shark more powerful.
Yeah, he gave it power-ups instead by accident.
Yes. Which is
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Here we are back to talking.
Yeah, we're talking about it again. Yeah, I know. Got anything to add, Encyclo?
I do not. No.
Okay. Other than you appear in most of this stuff with your wife, and you are very happy.
Indeed.
Yep.
All right.
Comic relief.
He is.
Such as it is.
Such as it is. Yeah. And then for me, obviously you should listen to the credits to get details like how to join the Patreon for as little as $3 a month to get perks like the shout-outs that you just heard, as well as bonus audio and some exclusive podcasts that are on there, among other things. And check out my other podcast, Henshin Power V3, where three friends have 3 minutes to talk about tokusatsu. And funny enough, because it's a Henshin hero show, and we define Henshin as just if it's a transforming superhero, we don't care what country it's from. If it's about a transforming superhero, we're going to cover it. Well, we're not limiting ourselves to live action either. So for all of you Redeemed Otaku listeners who might be listening to this, we do have some anime slated for the end of the season.
Oh, boy.
The Guyver.
The Guyver, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We're going to talk about all the Guyver animes, not the live-action movies, but we will be talking about all the Guyver animes.
Okay, nice.
And I keep threatening, I should say all of us, mostly me, but I keep threatening Bex with coming on as a guest for, well, a certain magical girl anime.
Yeah.
On the show.
Yep.
At least one season.
Yeah,
because it really is just all girl Power Rangers. Having seen all 200 episodes of it, it's like, yeah, it's just all girl.
Congratulations, by the way. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, when people were saying it's like, oh, it's just all girl Power Rangers or all girl Super Sentai, it's like it literally is, because Toei was like, hey, can you make it like Super Sentai? Oh, sure.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, we got you.
It's all the same tropes. It really is. So you might get to hear Bex finally do some episode-by-episode coverage of her favorite anime ever of all time.
Yes, it is my favorite.
I have been demanding that. It's
review it.
It's like, why do you not actually cover it on your show?
It's a broad arc.
But I fear that when I finally do review it, then that'll be the end of the podcast. Like I'll have come full circle, and then that'll just be
you move on to you do the original show, then you move on to Crystal, and that will keep you busy for a while too.
That would kill the podcast for sure.
That would kill it. Yeah.
We did recently review a magical girl anime, however.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Discotech is giving you options
soon.
at this point because they're releasing a Magical Girl show that I vaguely know what that is, but and you, as soon as I tagged you, and it was like, I'm adding that to my list. Like, yes, you should.
Yeah. No, I know it's referenced a lot, so it's one of those ones that I need to get around to watching it because it's well loved.
I don't even know what it is. I don't remember what it is at all. It's Ray something. I can't read.
Oh, you're talking about Magic Knight Ray Earth?
Is it Magic Knight Ray Earth? Is that what it was?
Or were you talking about Magical Lyrical Nanoha? Is it Nanoha?
I think so. Whatever. Whichever one I tagged you in recently. Yeah, that Discotech just announced because Discotech is amazing. But anyway, so check that out. And then my author website, nathanjsmargin.com, where you can learn about all of my books, including some kaiju books and things like Giant Bug Cinema, which was a collection of essays that I contributed to. I got stuck with writing about Monster from Green Hell because nobody else wanted it. Oh, well. And I am also a contributor to Kaiju United, the best kaiju website on the internet. And I am part of the stable of actors and now creators for Scyther Inc. Productions, which makes fan-produced audio dramas for things like X-Men and Power Rangers, among other things. I have played, of all people, Deadpool on their X-Men show. Notoriously, I've played Rito on their Power Rangers show and just made an entire episode chronicling the origin story of Rito. And I also, in their Avengers show, just made my debut as Johnny Storm, baby, because they did a crossover with the Fantastic Four. And now the guy who runs that show is going to do a Fantastic Four special because he's like, I don't have the time or the energy to do a full-fledged show. But I said, then just give us a special. He's like, you know what, I will. I'm like, well, you're welcome, Scyther fans. I might have only been a little selfish in doing that, but yeah. Yeah, so give all of those a listen. You'll have a good time. All right, that's basically everything. So, Merry Christmas to all of you. That was
Merry Christmas.
I was going to say that's your cue, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Which, by the way, Santa Jaws did say ho,
yes,
ho,
he
ho.
does, or she does ho, ho, ho.
Yes.
Underwater ho, ho, ho.
Yep.
Ho, ho, ho. Om nom nom.
Pretty much.
That was fun. Thank you so much. We enjoyed watching this movie. We enjoyed talking about it. So thank you very much for having us on the show. And I hope to your listeners, I hope you all enjoy the movie as well and have a Merry Christmas.
All right, cue the credits. Wait, where's Jimmy? Wait, oh, I forgot. I'm not in kayfabe. Oh, well, here are the credits anyway.
Gave him the day off.
Thank you for listening to the Monster Island Film Vault, a podcast produced and hosted by Nate Marchand. Our executive producer is Damon Noyes. If you want to be heard on the show, we'd love to hear from you, so email us at monsterislandfilmvault@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. You can also follow Jimmy from NASA on Twitter and our many colorful characters using the links in the show notes, which are on our website, monsterislandfilmvault.com. Don't forget to join our official Facebook group and Discord server, The Markalite Lounge. Our podcast logo was designed by Rebecca Hudgens. Follow her on Twitter and Instagram at super_r_illustrations. Sound effects sourced from freesound.org and created by JP Gant. Our theme song is Wanderer on the Offensive, live edit by B33J, Sarax, Juan Madrano, and Nonsensical Lexus, which is a remix of Counterattack and The Opened Way by Kowatani from Shadow of the Colossus. Additional music includes Every Country Has a Monster, performed by Jonah Ray, and Chant My Name, a cover by Second Archive of the song by Masaki Endo. All film and audio clips belong to their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended or implied. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and/or Podchaser to spread the word about the show. You can even support us by joining MIFV Max on Patreon. MIFV is a Moonlighting Ninjas media production and a proud member of Pod Nation. Sayonara!